Welcome to You Wager This Week. I am Gabriel Morency, presented by uwager.eu. It's hard to believe, but here we are already into week 3 of the college football season. Week 2 of the National Football League around the corner with the Thursday night contest between the Houston Texans and the Cincinnati Bengals. And I got to tell you, one of these teams are going to be 0-2, and one of these coaches are going to be in the hot seat. Not just the hot seat, but they're a couple of losses away from being in the electric chair. Football is back, and all is good in the world once again. Hey, listen, the NFL football was crappy. It wasn't very good football, but football is back. Nevertheless, we've got a couple of interesting games on the board in week 2. We'll see the Miami Dolphins and Tampa Bay Buccaneers both make their season debuts. And we often see this in college, in which one team will have a game under their belt and another team is playing their first game. We saw this with Colorado State earlier in the year, and we all walked right into the trap. I like Colorado State against the Oregon State Beavers. They got it done. They hung a 56 spot on them. And then the following week, they played a Colorado Buffalo football team that hadn't played a game yet. And I was one of many who thought it was an advantage for the Colorado State Rams. It wasn't. The Buffaloes beat them down. They dominated them. So I really don't know what it means. But nevertheless, we'll take a look at all the lines for week 2 of the National Football League. Couple of big games in college football, specifically the biggest game of the week on the college football board this week, the Clemson Tigers and the Louisville Cardinal. We've got a huge boxing match on Saturday night. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin takes on Canelo Alvarez. Golovkin's like a -160 favorite. The total is 11.5. And forget about that sham that was Conor and Floyd. This is a real boxing match, man. And a tough fight to pick. But I got to tell you what, as the fight approaches, and when the fight was initially announced, I was thinking, man, Triple G's never lost, man. How the hell can I bet against this guy? But as the fight approaches, you know what? He's got 37 wins. He's also 37 years old. Canelo Alvarez, a much younger man in his prime, been in big fights before. I think the crowd's going to be pulling for Canelo, Better Call Saul. I think I'm calling Saul. We better call Saul. And over at uwager.eu right now, Triple G's a -160 favorite. If you want to lay it down on the underdog, you get plus 140. So this podcast is powered by uwager.eu, one of the best sports books in the business, 18 years running. And, I've been gambling for longer than 18 years. And I spoke to somebody who's been around the sports gaming industry for even longer than I have. This guy knows everybody. He knows every sportsbook owner, every agent, and everybody else in between. And I told him, yeah, I'm doing a podcast for UWager. And he told me, you know what, UWager's been around a long time, and you know what they're known for? Paying people. He says UWager's never once not paid anybody. That's one. If you're going to have a reputation, if you're going to have a feather in your cap and you're a sportsbook, that's a good feather in your cap to have. So let's tell you about some of the bonuses and the promos that are going on. We told you about that kick-ass survivor pool that uwager.eu's got going on. And we told you that the Buffalo Bills were the way to go. The Houston Texans, no doubt, knocked out quite a few people. Not as many people as I thought, including the New England Patriots in week 1. Week 2 Survivor, there's a gift on the board here with the Jets and the Raiders. And normally when it comes to Survivor, I like to get cute. I'm not one of these guys that just does like the obvious Survivor pick. I like to think ahead. I like to map it out. I like to plan it out. And I thought, I'm not taking the Buffalo Bills ever again. So I'll take the Buffalo Bills right now. This is a winnable football. This is the most winnable football game the Buffalo Bills are going to have on the board. And it's really a similar situation with the Raiders as well. Even though the Raiders are a good team, their schedule is pretty tough. I don't want to mess with the division games. The Raiders have quite a few tough games on the schedule this year. So it seems from a survivor perspective that the Raiders are the way to go. And you know what? From a betting perspective as well, I'll be willing to lay the points. I think the Raiders are going to beat them down. I think the Jets played as well as they could possibly play against the Buffalo Bills. And, everybody talks so much crap about the Jets, including myself, coming into the year. I thought the Jets, potentially could go 0-16 this year. I still think that. But with that being stated, They weren't the biggest embarrassment from the city of New York over the weekend. That was, you could say, Rutgers. But let's give the piece of crap of the weekend award to the New York Giants. That was a pathetic display of football, guys. You know, I know that Odell Beckham wasn't there, but that was freaking putrid. All right, that was putrid. All right, you wager. You got this. So this is the deal with the with the rollovers. You get 100% free play. 15 times you have to roll it over because they're willing to give you up to $2,000. Now, I know a lot of people who lay it down big time at various books, and they tell me, man, I don't even care about the bonuses. I just want to know I'm going to get paid. So I know a lot of people don't care about the bonuses, but if you're going long term, you know, there's different types of bettors, right? Some of you bet and you take the money out every couple of days, man. You know, you bet NFL, you're calling the book, you're cashing out on Sunday night right after the games. Other people let it roll throughout the season. Everyone has a different approach. So if you're a quick guy, then you don't care about the bonus, then whatever. You Wage is still a great book to bet at. But if you're looking for a bonus, there's not a lot of books out there, if any, that are willing to give you up to $2,000, man. You know, a lot of books are 100% sign-up bonus, up to $100, up to $200. Yeah, up to, yeah. $2,000 max bonus given. So anyone that bets a lot knows all these bonuses, there's different levels and all that type of stuff. So just go over and check it out over at uwager.eu. This is what's cool, though, that they have, even if you want to do the rollover. All right, this is what's cool, even if you want to do the rollover. You can take your winnings out at any time, but you leave a minimum balance in. Deposit plus half of the bonus given. That's freaking awesome. That's freaking awesome. And I'm not just saying that right now because they're sponsoring this podcast. That's kick-ass. You know, because it sucks. You put all this money in, you're winning money, and you got to roll over. And basically, you know, from a bettor's perspective, it's, well, the book's just trying to wait me out. You know, they know eventually I'm going to go on a losing streak, and I'm going to lose the bonus anyways. So that's freaking ultra cool. You can take your winnings out at any time, leave a minimum balance, deposit plus half of the bonus given. Deposits of $300 and over. All right? So I'll go over to UWager right now. Do yourself a favor. It's a quality book. I wouldn't be doing this. I get a lot of, you know, I've been in this business a long time. I've worked with, you know, a handful of books over the years. And I'm selective. All right? We're very selective about where we play. There's a couple of big name, brand name books out there that I don't have an account at, and I don't have any intentions of opening an account at anytime soon. All right, so let's jump into let's take a look at some of the numbers here. Got some line movement. Houston Texans and Cincinnati Bengals are the first game on the board this week. Both these teams were pathetic in week one. Houston Texans got absolutely dominated by the Jacksonville Jags. Meanwhile, you know what? The Bengals weren't pathetic. Andy Dalton was pathetic. And anybody that watched my video on the Fantasy Sports Network this week of Who Ruined Your Sunday is aware I'm done with these guys. And I know, I've said it before in the past that I'm never betting on the Bengals again, but there's no way in freaking hell, all right? I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals in this football game, especially at 5.5 points. Especially at 5.5 points. Like, seriously, I'd rather have like a homeless dude perform open heart surgery, as I stated. I can go down the list of things I would rather do. I'd rather listen to like an Ashley Simpson CD. Well, hey, let's not say things you can't take back, Morency. Let's not get carried away. Cincinnati Bengals laying 5.5. Word out of H-Town is that Deshaun Watson is going to be the starting quarterback. Now, I watched this football game, and, you know, Tom Savage's numbers weren't great, but I don't care if it was Joe Namath or Joe Montana or Johnny Unitas or Warren freaking Moon playing quarterback for the Houston Texans on Sunday. They had no time to operate. You know, the Jags sacked Texan quarterbacks. They sacked Savage 6 times in the first half, and then they sacked Deshaun Watson another 4 times. I don't have a problem with Deshaun Watson playing right now, but if Deshaun Watson is your guy right now, then why the hell did you just go through the entire camp with Tom Savage getting the reps with the number 1? You know, that's on O'Brien right there. But with that being stated, can Deshaun Watson handle this? I think he can. He's going to make mistakes. You know, Tom Savage will make mistakes as well. The Houston Texans are damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. high expectations coming into the year for the Texans. They're getting 5.5. The total is 38. I lean with the Texans right now, just because I don't have a lot of confidence in Andy Dalton. But now that I don't bet on this this guy, he's probably going to play well. It's an ugly football game. It is what it is. The teams that go 0-2 rarely make the playoffs. The Texans can get away with it because they play in a crappy division, and Andrew Luck's hurt. The Bengals season is essentially going to be over. And the thing is, too, the loser of this team is obviously going to be 0-2. But after that, the Houston Texans go to New England next week. So, in other words, they're 0-3 if they lose on Thursday. And the Cincinnati Bengals, they go to Green Bay. So, they're going to lose. So, whoever loses this game will be 0-3. So, as I stated, one of these coaches really could be in trouble. Everyone bitches about Marvin Lewis all the time, but I'm telling you what, the Houston ownership group last year, they called in O'Brien. They told him we expect better than 9-7 every year. Tennessee Titans, 1.5-point favorites against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The total is 43.5. UWager.eu. And I'll tell you, the Titans were another major disappointment in week 1. Same old, same old. Everyone talks about Mularkey being a crap-ass coach, and, dude goes for an onside kick. Start the game against the Raiders. Why? So what's the deal? So what? Even if it works, so what, you're going to get the ball on their 50-yard line, on their 45? You're going to get on the 50-yard line? It was a stupid thing to do. Mularkey's a crap-ass coach. Tennessee are 1.5-point favorites against the Jacksonville Jaguar team. Feeling pretty good about themselves right now. Coming off that win in Houston. Total's 43.5 in this game. Tough game, man. Jacksonville's one of these teams. Everybody, picked on them so much. Blake Bortles wasn't great or anything like that. He didn't have to. The Jacksonville Jaguar defense was freaking suffocating, all right? And they've been stockpiling draft picks over the years on the defensive side of the football, and it looks like it might be coming together. But week 1 of the NFL, you can't overreact from what you saw. So the Tennessee Titans, -1.5, total 43.5. Almost every team we talk about here, disappointing. Arizona Cardinals, disappointing. And even more disappointing for fantasy owners, David Johnson's going to be out for 2 to 3 months. Season's almost already gone. Like, really? David Johnson's maybe the best player in the National Football League, or at least, arguably one of the best players in the National Football League. Top 5 for sure. Top 3 maybe, etc. And, Carson Palmer, I defended him in the offseason. Didn't look good against the Detroit Lions. Fortunately for Arizona, they play Indianapolis. And, I think Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas could probably beat the Colts at this point in time. But Colts might make a quarterback change as well. It's Arizona -7.5, total 44.5. I don't have a lot of interest in laying the points with the Cardinals here. The Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills took care of business against the Jets. You can't take too much away from it. But they did what they had to do. They're getting 7 points. Carolina -7, -120. Buffalo Bills +100, over/under 42.5. And this game is very interesting. Carolina was impressive against San Francisco. I think it's a lower scoring game, but the total's 42.5. And speaking of which, with the totals in week 1 in the NFL, if you bet the under, you were cashing in 10-5 on the week. 10-5 to the under in week 1 of the National Football League. Favorites and underdogs, 7-7-1. Not much to make there. But what's interesting about this game, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills is Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott's a longtime defensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers. The new general manager of the Buffalo Bills to replace Whaley, Brandon Beane. This guy was the assistant general manager of the Carolina Panthers. So you've got the defensive coordinator and the assistant GM, who essentially was running the drafts for the last couple of years. That's as insider knowledge as it freaking gets. Like, they know everything. McDermott knows everything about the Carolina Panthers. He knows what Cam Newton doesn't like. He knows exactly what everybody on the defensive side of the football can and can't do. I think it's a big advantage for the Buffalo Bills. The question is, do the Bills have the talent to take advantage of the insider knowledge? I don't know. I don't know if the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game outright, but I like the Bills +7 right now. Over/under 42.5. Tampa Bay Buccaneers make their season debut. They're laying 7 against the visiting Chicago Bears. And, the Bears look pretty good against the Falcons, yet I wouldn't get too carried away. You know, since 1984, the Bears had only lost 3 season openers by more than 7 points. And since 1984, the Bears have had a lot of bad seasons, all right? You know, home openers, teams will often play well. It's an intriguing situation, though, because the Bears have a game under their belt. Meanwhile, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously don't. They've been dealing, you know, they got their game canceled against the Dolphins, and now the Hurricane, it's hard to keep up with the Hurricanes. Harvey, Irma, Juan, everything else in between. Hurricane Irma, you know, flooding the Tampa area. But nevertheless, this game's going to be a go. Tampa Bay Buccaneers -7. Chicago Bears getting 7. Total is an even 43. You know, the Bears are okay. The Bears are okay, but I still think the Bears are going to lose a lot of close games this year. I'm not willing to lay the points here. Cleveland Browns, they backdoored us all. I was on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wasn't happy about that backdoor cover. Cleveland Browns are getting 7.5 against the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens were good, but Andy Dalton was just like god awful. Like he was terrible. So yeah, Baltimore's defense is still good. They're still good. Their offense is kind of pedestrian. This is a tough game. I'm sort of looking at a stay away from this game. It's another tricky week this week. And it kind of sucks because normally I do really, really well out of the gate in the NFL. And everybody always says, you know, you got to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks before you start betting big in the NFL. I've historically done well in the first couple of weeks, but I didn't do well this past week. I did well on Monday night. I did good Monday night, but I didn't do well this week 1. It wasn't a week 1 I'm proud of, I'll tell you that much. My prop picks were good, but my sides were terrible. The New England Patriots. Belichick gave up the most points he ever gave up with the 41 spot that the Chiefs laid, and we'll get to the Chiefs in a second. New Orleans Saints didn't look good. Their offense got stopped by one of the best defenses in the National Football League in the Minnesota Vikings. So, you know, this is a tough game. One thing that catches my eye about this football game is not Adrian Peterson's evil eye giving Sean Payton, hey, Peterson, you're not dealing with your kid here. What are you going to do? You're going to slap him? Like, you're lucky you're even there. Nobody wanted to sign you, dude. All right? You know, New Orleans already have, like, Adrian Peterson doesn't get it. You're 32. You're not a star anymore. It's a good way to, you know, scare your way off that roster at the rate you're going, AP. But the Patriots are laying 6.5 points. The total is 54.5. How the hell do we not bet on the over of this game? Unless that Saint offense can't get anything going without Willie Snead there. And don't forget, Willie Snead's going to miss another 2 games. But, you know, the Saints defense is improved, yes, but how improved is it? Total 54.5. This is an interesting one. Philadelphia Eagles are getting 5 at Kansas City. Total's 47.5. Peterson, of course, longtime coordinator with Andy Reid. Longtime buddies. It's, you know, mentor versus pupil here. Kansas City Chiefs, 5-point favorites. Man, Kareem Hunt looked good. Total 47.5. Raiders, hello, survivor pick. Raiders minus the 14. Jets hung around with the Bills. The Bills aren't the Raiders. Raiders are leaving Oakland. They're going to Las Vegas in a few years, so they need some goodwill in Oaktown. And what better way to get goodwill than to kick the crap out of the Jets? Minus 14, total 43.5. Dolphins make their season debut in L.A. Chargers were lethargic. They looked better in the fourth quarter. We'll see if it carries over. I'm not ready to lay 4.5. Chargers lay 4.5 to the Dolphins. Total is 45. Speaking of pathetic, you were pathetic, Washington. Washington's getting 2.5 against an LA Ram team that beat the snot out of the Colts. Hung 46. Hung 46 on the board. I think this is an overreaction, and as bad as Washington was in week 1, they got to win this game. I like the Washington Redskins plus 2.5. The total is 46. San Francisco gets an even 14 at Seattle. Over under 43. Dallas Cowboys go into Denver. One of these teams going to be 2-0. Cowboys laying 2.5. Over under 4.3. And even 43. And the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons are the Sunday nighter. Great game. Rematch of the NFC Conference Championship game. Another game that should be a high-scoring game. Total is 53.5. And the Atlanta Falcons play their first football game in that shiny new cool stadium that they have. They're 2.5-point favorites in this game. There's no line right now for the Giants and the Lions due to the questionable status of Odell Beckham Jr. My assumption is that Odell Beckham Jr. will be playing in this football game. College been a lot of fun this year so far, and we got a big time game this week between Clemson and Louisville, and pretty much on a weekly basis, and not just on a weekly basis, but no one was questioning Louisville against Kent State. But anytime there's one of these big football games, people always try to make a case for the other team, and they did last week with the Auburn Tigers against Clemson Tigers. We have Clemson laying 3 on the road against Lamar Jackson and the Louisville Cardinal. Lamar Jackson's a stud, but top to bottom, you look at the rosters and you look at the defense, and I think this number's a little short. I like the Clemson Tigers to get it done, and looks like Dabo isn't going anywhere. And, of course, as we mentioned off the top, it's the big boxing match this week. It's minus 160 right now. But we're going to be with you later in the week as well right here on U-Wager this week. And we'll see if we can bring in our boy, the Raging Redhead, Cam Stewart, and get some of his weekend picks. On Friday's podcast, we'll focus more in on the college board. We'll take a look at the NFL injuries and line movement and everything else in between. We told you about all the great sign-up bonuses that U-Wager has. So support the sponsor, guys, if you want this podcast throughout the National Football League and college football season. You can never have too many accounts. You can never have too many friends. You can never have too many girls. You can never have too much money. And you can never have too many sportsbook accounts. Go over to uwager.eu right now. Other than that, you're on your own. May the winners be yours.